So let me start with the agenda. My name is Christina Dax and I work for INO-TSD, one of the partners at the EaP Plus project. So after this introduction, I will hand over the word to Svetlana Kristova, who will be the main speaker today. And she will give a lecture on impact maximization, after which we will look at a few examples and case studies from Horizon 2020 project, and finally conclude. During the webinar, please feel free to write down your questions, and then we will discuss this at the end of the webinar from around 11 o'clock. So just a few words on the EaP Plus project. The project launched in 2016. It's a 3-year coordination and support action. It builds on some previous projects such as INCONET EaP, BLOD, Black Sea Horizon. So the project includes partners from all the 6 EaP countries, that is Moldova, Belarus, Ukraine, Armenia, Azerbaijan, and Georgia, and partners from EU member states as well. The main objectives of the project are to support EU-EaP policy dialogue, to foster interaction between European and EaP researchers, and also boost participation of EaP researchers in Horizon 2020, and to enhance the EU-EaP research innovation partnership. So regarding the RDI webinars, we're having 6 webinars on specific innovation-related topics. So we've already covered 3 webinars previously. This was on innovation strategies, innovation management, and exploitation strategy in research and innovation collaborative projects. So today we are holding our 4th webinar, and we will be having 2 more. The next one will be in around September, October 2018. This will be on engaging in academia-industry collaboration. So we will inform you and give you more information on this upcoming webinar in a few months. And then the final one is expected to be in around January 2019. So just a few words about the speakers today. So let me present myself once again. My name is Christina Dax, and I'm a consultant at INO-TSD, one of the partners of the project. I worked on several Horizon 2020 projects, and I'm originally from Hungary and I speak Russian. And the main speaker today will be Svetlana Kristova, who is the director at INO-TSD and also a senior innovation consultant. She has over 20 years of experience and worked on over 60 projects, and she's particularly an expert on impact maximization. So I will hand over the word to Svetlana Kristova now.
Thank you very much, Christina. Good morning to everyone. I hope you can hear me. So how I organized this presentation? I'll firstly give you a short introduction about impact and logic of those who funds Horizon or other projects, collaborative projects from public funds. But you will see that this logic is also relevant if you wish to increase impact in a non-publicly funded project. We will see different types of impact, and then we will see how to maximize impact and some useful tool. There is no single answer to a question how to maximize impact. So if you type your questions, then we can discuss each of them and maybe have more focused discussion if you wish so. And then at the end we will have concrete examples of how to maximize impact. Okay. So first of all, well, we focus on Horizon 2020, okay, even if the logic is just for simplicity, because the logic is relevant in other activities. Well, you, I guess, all know that in the context of tight budget And now public attention, which is bigger and bigger to the effectiveness of public funding and European Union funded research, there is a need to demonstrate the performance and impact and added value of European programs, of national programs, and thus the projects, because it's actually this, or quite often the sum of impacts in the project that gives an impact of the whole program. Okay. If you see in the questionnaire, you see that impact is an action having a strong effect on someone, on something. Okay, it's in a very simple way. And that's why, so in terms of research project, at least in Horizon, so we are speaking about impact as the changes or benefits to the economy or society or public policy or quality of life or anything else, actually. Yeah. So I would like since the beginning to explain the difference between input, outputs, outcome, and impacts. Okay, so just in a very short way. So impact, input is what you put into the project. The activity are your tasks in the project. Okay, for example, you have input in person months and some analysis, purchase of studies. Okay, then you have activities, and then at the end of the activity you have your outputs, which are usually, let's say, the deliverables of the project, the report, something like this. Okay, you also have results or outcomes, okay, which is not necessarily deliverable, which is really a result of your project. And then how these results are affecting the economy, society, cultural policy, and so on. Okay, then then this is an impact. Okay, I see a point that slides are not visible. I actually don't understand why, because I see the presentation. Yeah. Maybe someone, Christine, if you can take
Svetlana, the slide is
slides.
Still on the
I
slide.
don't see what I... Can you... Okay, slides are visible. Okay, if slides are visible for others, then it's fine. Yeah, because we and Christine in the same office. Okay, you can see the slides, fine. So that's fine. Okay, thank you. So Christina, maybe this is something, for your setting. Okay, so if we understand this process, so we go to the impacts, so then we can understand that the impact-oriented approach is valid at all stages of the Horizon program. It is reflected in the calls, because when you see the call, you see expected impact. And this is really which should drive the proposal preparation, because this is how your proposal, will be analyzed. And so, of course, it is reflected in the proposals. And then at this stage of the proposal evaluation, this is a very important criteria, which is, how you present your impact. And it actually will be, at least it is anticipated that it will be even more important in the next framework program, which will be called Horizon Europe. Okay, and then you have the impact-oriented approach in the project. And usually the good practice shows that the discussion on impact in the project, shall start at the very beginning. While everything is great and you have your first meeting and you really don't see about impact, but you are happy that the project is funded. Okay, this is the point to start really brainstorming on impact and how partners see this. So we will discuss this later. So of course, we have different pillars in the Horizon 2020 program. And because of these different pillars, we will have different expected impact. And you have economic impacts, you have academic impacts, and you have impact on society in general, Okay, and then you have pillars such as excellent science, industrial leadership, and societal challenges. And as you can see on the slide, okay, so delivering solutions in each of these pillars will actually require expectation about different impacts. Some in economic impacts, it will be, of course, impact of your innovation on the market and competitiveness and growth and jobs and investment. And investment is now very important criteria for Horizon program. And there were studies that actually mentions that there are 11 euros for €1 invested in Horizon. Well, sometimes it is discussed, but anyway, it's definitely bigger than several euros invested. So this are also impact, okay, for your project and for the economy. For academic impacts, of course, it is publications, it is training, and it is how you develop new master degrees and so on. For societal challenges and societal impact, it would be quality of life and health and environment and all the rest. Okay, so it's education and public engagement. Actually, now it's much more than before. Citizen science and engagement of citizens is really important and considered as one of the project impact. So how we can actually track this, again, just for understanding, okay, of this of impacts. It can be easily seen if you see indicators how these impacts are tracked, okay, because remember, each project shall contribute to the impact, and then these indicators are a way to measure this impact. So actually the legal basis of Horizon 2020 specifies a list of mandatory key performance indicators, okay, and they are defined before actually the start of the program. So this is quite a significant development. It was not done really before. So these indicators are different depending on the pillars. And if you pick up a pillar where your project or your proposal will be, you can see what is expected. For example, if we take industrial leadership pillar, information and communication technology, nanotechnology, biotech, and so you will see that it is the number of patent applications, it is a percentage of firms who introduce innovations, okay, through the case study, for example. It is number of joint public-private publications. It is total investment mobilized, leverage of, amount funds, how many small companies introduce innovation or plan to introduce it, and how many jobs are created, especially in SMEs. And so if you see this actually shall drive your understanding and also writing of impact and implementation of this, because this is what is expected from the project in industrial leadership, okay? And of course there are other types, like contribution to the environment and climate change, so it depends on the programs, And for academic, for excellent science, it is of course peer reviewers, publication, which are also important in industrial leadership programs. It's just that I try to give some examples of specific indicators for different pillars, okay? So remember about this, because this is how, if you demonstrate this, okay, and this, if you maximize this, then your impact will be maximized. And of course, we have different expected impact depending on the technology readiness level of the project. You can't expect job creations maybe at the TRL level when you have experimental proof of concept or technology concept formulated, but you definitely would expect it in a green part of this slide until TRL 7, 8, 9, but even before, okay? So what is important is really to be realistic in estimation of impact, because then you can maximize it. You can maximize something that is realistic. You cannot maximize something that is not realistic, okay? You will have a hard time. So that's why if we take a proposal stage, the evaluators of Horizon projects are looking for this very important impact criterion. Should be more than, I think, 4 mark out of 5. Okay, and then we'll evaluate it from different points of view. So how you describe the expected impact. So do you understand, you mean the consortium, really the expected impact? Is it producing knowledge, or is it something much bigger than this? Okay, how you will enhance the innovation capacity, how this new knowledge will be integrated, how it will reach the market, how the competitiveness of partners will be reinforced. Okay, how do you plan to meet market needs? Do you plan any societal impact or environmental one? Okay, and then if you put this as an impact, then somehow you shall explain how you will maximize it, how you will reach it and maximize. Okay, so this is, it's very structured approach. Okay, you indicate the expected impact, you indicate ways to go to impact, you indicate tools and so on, and through this you will demonstrate how you are going to maximize this. Okay, now as we call in France, there are no 36 solutions. Basically, there are variations of solutions, okay? But to maximize the impact in Horizon 2020 and other projects, especially publicly funded projects, you have especially the steps of communication, of dissemination, and exploitation, okay? And of course, again, we know that it is not possible to say exactly what will be the impact. It's not possible to calculate a euro sign when you say the project impact will be like this. But if you see some very successful projects, they integrated actually component impact assessment of the project as part of the project. For example, at the end, we can imagine is a project integrates an activity analysis of potential impact of this project, and then the last 10 months is dedicated to this. And then if it is measured, and of course it could be a specialized part on this, then you can communicate this well to the Commission, to other authorities, and maybe your project will become a success story because you really communicated these impacts well. Okay, so communication, dissemination, and exploitation are in fact, so part of this process of around the impact activities, okay, but they have different target audience, different objectives, and different activities too. So there are actually quite a lot of confusion sometimes about difference between communication, dissemination, exploitation. So we can make it something, let's say, simple, okay? Communication is when you communicate about the project. You say that you reach out to society, you show the benefits of public activities, you communicate, you inform about the project. You inform about the project to very multiple audience. Okay, so it can be done since the very beginning of the project. It's not about results. It's especially about the project, the funding, so what are you going to do and so. In dissemination, you have specific targeted audience that may make use of your results. It could be research community, it could be industrial users, it could be cities, municipalities. I mean, you can have, it could be association of companies, but you have different target group, okay? And the goal is really making them aware that they can use your results. And okay, and exploitation is about groups who will really make use of results. okay, who will implement them. It is, as we said, it could be end users, it could be even universities. It's not only commercial exploitation, it could be university who will integrate your results into the master program, okay? So, and that's why you have a plan for dissemination exploitation of results. When it's actually the draft is prepared in the proposal, and then it is usually updated during the first 3 months, where you answer all these questions. So what is the needs your project responds to? What is your solution solving? Why is it better than others? Okay, because this is your message for the dissemination exploitation. What will be the new knowledge generated? Who will use this result? How much they will benefit? And how you will inform the users, okay, or a potential target group about the generated results. That's why I think communication is maybe the easiest to understand, because you have quite classical communication tools, and this is now really required in practically all projects I know on national level, at least in Europe and in Horizon and in other activities, okay? And you have, of course, internal communication activity in the consortium, but you have especially external communication activity. And here you can be completely free in your creativity. You definitely will have website, flyer, different social media, press releases, newsletter. Okay, so really it's whatever you decide. I mean, all is good. But sometimes some items are not very relevant. For example, Twitters for some specific industrial projects, it's not necessarily a very right channel, while for other projects it's a great channel. Okay. But Twitter is always good to dispatch the information. So I'll not stop much on communication because we don't have much time, okay? So remember, communication is you communicating about the project. You make promotion, okay, of your activity, and also of the funding, because funding authorities require that you communicate this. So dissemination start a little bit later, when you have already preparation, or at least first results, when you can already anticipate these first results, and usually it can be done already. Well, it depends on the projects. Sometimes it could be started even in the first 6 months if the results are anticipated. So you can already start dissemination about future result, okay? And then, so you really sit and make it concrete. Okay, and the best way to develop dissemination part of the strategy is really to sit in a core group and to say, if we have very limited time, for example, we have, 1 day months for this, just very limited time. What are the groups we will concentrate on? What are the best for using this 1 day per month? Is it making a webinar and then inform everyone about the anticipated results? Is it to visit during this 1 day month's specific visit, to have telephone discussions with specific users, because they are very important in the process? For example, having a discussion with association of the municipalities in your countries might be very important to spend this day, because then they will communicate the information to all others. Okay, so if you see this dissemination from the point of view of limited resources, you'll concentrate on really the good target audiences. Okay, so you might be able to put, for example, 3-4 target groups who are stakeholders, and then to say for each of them, how do we address each of them? Okay, so sometimes it could be for very important stakeholders. Imagine that you have multinational companies and large companies and utilities, but for them really maybe just mailing will not work. Maybe you need physical meetings with the client, okay, or potential client. And sometimes you need to communicate, to develop message well, the message. because the message for one target group, it's not the same message for another. The same technology could be used by one type of stakeholder in one way and for another in another way. And so if you put all this information, okay, with, of course, you have dissemination objective. And I took a concrete example from a project proposal, okay? Then you explain why you want to do this, what, you explain the content, you explain to whom you will communicate this, where, and yeah, how, so dissemination channels, you can say when you will start to do this, and then you just make a small table. So here you just put your target group and example and how you will access it. The major danger here is to make things theoretical. So if someone, for example, if I see from colleagues example of target group, okay, target group is end user, and there is very nice description, but how we will access them? Do we have an access to them in the project? So if not, who will do this? And this is how the successful projects are built. Okay, so these questions are asked at the very beginning in the proposal preparation process, in the consortium building process, okay, to say how we will reach to these users. And then you put the message. For example, for this work package, this is what we want to communicate. For example, it was preparatory work, feasibility study. We have the results. Who will be the users of these results? Because for feasibility study, this could be users, could be government organization, policymakers, other partners, funding authorities to increase, to raise funding additionally. So all this could be the users, okay, and target groups. And then, so you develop actually tools and channels, not generally in the project, but depending on this target audience and depending on the messages that you communicate. Okay, I took an example. Actually, Christina will present a concrete example of a project which is called Yaksha, when we used, which is recently started. So it was funded by Horizon, and we use some specific tools to increase impact, and Christina will present this later on. But I just want to show how it is presented in terms of channels, okay? Because for each target group, so we have different dissemination channel. We have events, we have flyer, we have so-called ambassadors that Christina will present, we have website, and then we put key performance indicators for ourselves to understand, are we really well on the midterm of the project to monitor this? So are we good with flyer, with updates? Are people satisfied? So sometimes we ask people, do you like this? I mean, is it everything that you want to see here? And we see satisfaction degree, okay? Sometimes we measure articles about the project, not scientific articles, and so on. It's really up to you to decide what you want to measure. But again, it's not a theoretical exercise. If you put this concretely, if you ask questions, like take an opponent for this, take a developer of a strategy and someone who is like during a PhD thesis, okay, who is an opponent and asking questions. So ask your colleague to ask your questions, okay, and to be very critical and to say how you will reach them, these people. Do you really have knowledge and experience? And this is how you will maximize your impact later on, okay? But firstly, you need to prepare this maximization. Okay, for exploitation, we had a previous webinar on this. I'll not spend a lot of time on this, but of course, yeah, for exploitation, we have some specific key performance indicators. This is something that the project want to use. You have patents, you have market strategy, you have startup creations, you have also scientific publications. So all these business ideas also. You can have many business, 5 business ideas and only 1 or 2 that is followed up. So all these are channels to maximize impact measures for this. And again, you have an explanation for this. For example, you can, if you have a case study in the project, usually in technological projects, you have case studies, sometimes 2, sometimes 4, okay. And then the end users, if they implement technology, okay, they demonstrate in the environment, then they might need to have additional investment for this or plan additional investment. And then we'll discuss with their business units, because usually in an industrial company it's co-funded by research and development unit, but there should be a business unit who back up the process. So what is this investment for the next years? This is your exploitation. This is how you maximize impact. If you reach these business units through your partners in large companies, and then they will put your project as one of the priorities, then you maximize impact, because there will be implementation at the end. If you don't use this channel, maybe you will not have these industrial users who will be aware about your project, okay? Because maybe in big industrial companies, you know, things are not passing very quickly, and then you will lose this channel for impact maximization. It's the same logic. So at the proposal stage, but also at the project stage, you can see what are the exploitable results per work package. Sometimes it is just one result in the project. There is one technology, but it could be different in many projects, in different work packages, in different activities. You have different results. I'm now doing a project when we have 8 exploitable results, 8 innovations. Okay, and then each of them, they have specific target group, and there is each partner responsible for this exploitable project results. And sometimes this partner work alone. For example, a small and medium-sized company, it's easy. They know what to do quite often if they're already well established. Okay, they have maybe their marketing department, and they will integrate this result in their products. Fine. So usually it's quite straightforward, okay? When the university is responsible for an exploitable result that they're doing in a team of 3 universities, or maybe 2 universities and 1 company, then it becomes more complicated. So university not necessarily have experience in exploitable results, okay? And then it really needs to be verified what are the target groups and what are the exploitation action. And then there is innovation manager in the project who can support this activity, or exploitation manager, and so on. We discussed this during the previous webinar. And of course, IPR of the project results, it's very important topic, because the ownership, it's a necessary element in the exploitation process. And if you do a business plan for commercial exploitation as part of the proposal, because this is mandatory, but also if you work on this as part of the project, then you are driven by this. Okay, I put here an example, what we use in the proposals as a brief business plan. You know, like when we work with partners, we are often responsible for exploitation process in the project. It doesn't mean that we are doing exploitation instead of partners. It means that we are driving different project partners to focus on exploitation. And that's why we ask them questions. For example, tell us in 10 lines, what is your business about and what is your current offer? And tell us in maximum 15 lines, what are your main selling points? So if no one asks this, then it is possible that maybe business plan will be different. And and for example, we prepared this template thanks to previous experience, and we saw that this is enough for the proposals and also for the projects, and we keep this updated. Okay, for this business plan. We keep this updated. For example, in 6 months, we are asking what changes. Do you see new market opportunities? At each project meeting, we ask this question very briefly. So what is your now competitive analysis? What is your innovation now, like 1 year after the project? Is it still the same? Okay. As I said, I don't want to concentrate on exploitation because we had a dedicated webinar on this, but an example of a good channel for maximization of project impact is involvement of stakeholders in the process, in the project. And just an example again from a project so we are currently doing is industrial stakeholder panel. It's a bit different from advisory board. Many projects have advisory board. Now many projects have industrial stakeholder panels. So it's really people who are proposed either in the proposal or in the first stage of the project. It's for industry-related projects, for technological projects, for example, that have good technological expertise and coming from different sectors and coming from different European countries. And we put a budget for this, for travel cost coverage in the project, because this is authorized. Okay, so we put sometimes 15,000 euros for cover travel cost of those who needs money. Not everyone needs money from industrial partners. Yeah, because we want to maximize impact. Because we will have 3 meetings with them or 4 during like 3 or 4 years of the projects, and we will discuss with them what are their requirements, how they see the project results, how they see the exploitation opportunities of the results that will be done by the project. And these are very valuable discussions because this is really very intense day when people sit together. It's very interesting, okay? And we just discuss together on a very good level, scientific partners, industrial partners in the project, and industrial stakeholder panel. And there is no confidential information. This is very important because people hate, especially industrial people, dealing with confidential information, because dealing with confidential information means you have to maintain the confidentiality, you have to sign the agreement, but you have to maintain this, you have to monitor this confidentiality. So don't use this, really. This is just suggestion. Use only non-confidential information. Don't be afraid of this. Many people are reluctant to share this. Maybe you will not share some specific details, but you can definitely share overall things and which needs it will solve and what are the requirements. Okay, and we prepare terms of reference, so we call this modus operandi, and actually it's the benefits of this process is clear for both sides. We explain win-win, and usually people are interested to participate because it's also for technology watch. They also want to be updated what is going on, okay? And you see, so this was an example of industrial involvement, but I can say another example of involvement of people, of citizens in another activity. For example, water management technologies project, when we have end users, people, okay, then we use co-creation process. Okay, and then we have 3 workshops. It's very similar logic. To maximize impact, we need to gather people. We need to translate their needs for water quality and for water management solution into the requirements. And then they will be involved in some testing. And then we will ask them after the first use, maybe in the second half of the project, is it better now? And then they will have satisfactory evaluators, and then we will dispatch this as a message for dissemination. We will say, look, we implemented the technology with the prototypes, and 90% of our users are satisfied. This is a very powerful message, okay? So all this together, coupled with dissemination of result, it is impact maximization. This is how you will maximize. And also, it's interesting, everything is related, because through this process, you will again get even bigger impact. For example, we had a project where we actually promoted a very good result of the project, and then it was the European Commission contacted us and said we would like to use this as a success story in SPIRE. Well, it is related to SPIRE public-private partnership program. And the Commission sent 2 journalists actually to question the project, and the journalists wrote very nice articles, which would perhaps ourselves would not write, okay? And it was published, and then we were contacted, not we, but the project was contacted thanks to these articles for potential end users. So you see, it helps to generate impact. I just want to have a quick mention about the innovation radar. This is an interesting tool who can help you to answer some questions and to actually understand potential impact and actually anticipate it a bit and see what needs to be done. So this is an initiative of the European Commission for ICT. It covers ICT, in information communication technologies, research innovation projects. Okay, and there is a specific questionnaire that consortium partners fill who are responsible for different innovations. And well, I just actually just got this radar, and that's why I thought it's interesting to give you an example of this. So which are the questions that you can answer, but it means that your partners can answer in the project? Forget the word innovation radar. These are the questions to be answered. So especially during the project preparation, but also for impact maximization. So you see, it's actually, well, if you don't see the slides, I mean, I can just very briefly say, you say about innovation in 3 lines. You say this is something new or something, product or methods or process and so on. You say how it will be exploited. Is it a new on the market? Is it internal to the organization? Is it a new element of the existing product? Do we have one owner or multiple owner? So I deleted some confidential information, of course. Okay. And then you actually have the question of how different owners or one owner, what do you see as a way to increase impact, to promote this on the market? And then people start thinking, okay, I need market study, and then I justify this. I mean, we plan launching of startup. Okay, so something is not planned at all. So, and if something is planned, the question is, what is the range of finance it is needed? So here, it's in this case, it is up to 500,000. So we thought, we need to find other public sources. So we said we need some fundraising. Okay, and then what are the drivers, what are the needs of the 2 organizations who are co-owner of the process? So I put it here. Yeah, what is the market dynamic and maturity? Do you know your market? Is it emerging market? Is it something like, like a growing market? How long it will be, like 1 or 3 years? You see, these are actually quite simple questions. So my colleague filled it in like 15 minutes. I will leave this on the slides. So the slides will be published on our website. But if you want to have an example of simple questions, what you can answer and think how to maximize impact, you can actually answer this. And then you will see immediately how you can maximize impact, because you need to involve relevant people, you want to make it quicker, you make fundraising and so on. So basically, if we summarize this part, so it's about maximization of impact, it's about communication, dissemination, exploitation, but also standardization. It's about involvement of stakeholders, user representative. And you see on these slides different steps of the process. Most importantly is to agree beforehand. How do you understand the impact? Because before maximization, we need to understand what is to be maximized, okay? And then you decide on communication, you secure foundation, IP, you understand the barriers, you involve stakeholders, you anticipate potential needs, and then basically you plan all the steps, okay? You disseminate results. But again, I really encourage you to think how you will measure this potential impact during the project. If you can anticipate this ex ante, so if you can anticipate the impact around the last 6 months of the project or even last 10 months, and if you communicate this, it's very often that the public authorities, funding agencies, will help you in dissemination of this message, and this will in turn help to maximize your impact. Okay, because people in the funding agency, they're looking for this. They're looking for messages that your project helped to increase investment internal in one of your partners, that this helped to increase environmental standards and so on. Okay, and of course, open access to publications, open data is part of the Horizon project. I'll keep this on the slide because, yeah, this is a very important channel to maximize the impact. Okay, it's really free access to publications. I'll not put this in focus now during the webinar, okay, but this is something that please remember and budget this, because open access in many cases also needs some budget, and this is important that you remember that to keep some budget in your proposals in Horizon, at least in Horizon, or perhaps in others. Okay, I want to give so now a floor to Christina, who is our project manager as a dissemination exploitation partner and impact maximization in the project Yaksha. And Christina, I can continue to put the slides if you wish, and if you can explain about some channels and tool in Yaksha project. Okay. Please.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I leave you the option of changing slides if that's okay. So just change when I start speaking. So Yaksha project is a new project that started in the beginning of this year in January, and we will take it as an exercise to see what the actual expected impacts were in the call for this project. So as you can see below, in this call that was an ICP work program in 2017, there were 3 expected impacts written. So the first one is the development of a technology. Second was sustainable uptake of results. And third one, reinforced international dimension of ICT and the cooperation in ICT focused on areas that would be beneficial for the target countries. Now, the target countries are low and middle income. That was in the call. And basically the topic of the call was international partnership building in low and middle income countries in ICT. So did the slide change now? Sorry, Svetlana. Can you see the next slide? Just a second.
Yes, we can see this slide.
Okay, now it changed. So now you should see a big yellow diagram. So this is how the Yaksha presented itself. So the objective of the project is actually to reinforce cooperation between EU and the ASEAN countries, and build partnership in the cybersecurity domain. So this project will actually develop a software toolkit, which will help users to detect malware. And the results of the project will be enhancing cybersecurity readiness levels for the end users, help better preventing cyber attacks, reducing cyber risks. So it's both, it aims to increase cooperation between the 2 regions, but also to develop a specific software to meet the national needs of the region. So to continue. So here's just to show how this project and the proposal managed to address the 3 expected impacts listed in the call. So as you can see, the first one was the development of a technology, and Yaksha actually meets this by, as you can see, developing innovative methods of malware detection, design development, and integration of the Yaksha software components. So it's creating this software with, as indicated in the call. So sustainable uptake of results, and you can see the Yaksha response. is actually to create the dissemination of the scientific results of the project and also develop business models and exploitation models for so that it is ensured that the sustainable uptake of results will be efficient after the project is also completed. And the third one was reinforced international dimension of ICT. And well, the project actually meets this because, as you can see, it reinforces cooperation and it actually develops something that's meeting the specific national needs of the ASEAN region. So how to maximize impact? So as Svetlana said before, this is usually reached through the development in the proposal of dissemination and exploitation strategy. And here there are actually two specific tools that this project, sorry, I'm reading Svetlana. So just once again, Svetlana, can you see the slides?
Yes, I can, but some participants cannot. So I wrote them a message that maybe it's about setting. Please, yeah, continue.
Yeah, I'm checking. Okay, I'm sorry for that, but normally I'm the presenter now, so it just be visible when I change that. Okay, so there are two specific tools that are developed just in this project, and the aim of these tools is to increase the impact. So the first one is the so-called label of excellence. This will be approved by the end users and designed by the consortium partners. So this is part of the exploitation, actually. This is a tool that will promote the Yaksha cybersecurity in the Asian market and certify to Asian users and ordering parties on the quality of the software and raise awareness among Asian users and other parties regarding the importance of the Yaksha cybersecurity offer and qualities. So, so overall, the aim of this is to increase the use and the validity and make sure that the technology offers the sufficient quality. So the second tool, which actually is being developed now, is the so-called Yaksha ambassadors. So here the project aims to set up a community of over 100 ambassadors in the ASEAN. So this is actually a tool to increase overall the dissemination of the project. So the project actually has a budget for the so-called Yaksha ambassadors. They will be the representation of the Yaksha project in the ASEAN countries. And the point of this is that they will raise awareness of the Yaksha technology and the Yaksha project in their own networks in the ASEAN. So we want really to increase impact by creating this community of over 100 Yaksha ambassadors. Also, the project will dedicate special toolkits. Trainings will be provided to these ambassadors to ensure that they understand themselves how the project works, what the aims of the project are, and then they can distribute this message and distribute the information on the technology to their network. So again, this should be a very useful tool for increasing the impact of the project and creating a community in the ASEAN. So yeah, I will hand over the word to Svetlana now with some closing remarks.
Yeah.
Svetlana, please feel free to add anything about the Yaksha project if there's anything else.
Yes, thank you very much, Christina. Yeah, I think what is the important message here is that how this idea of ambassador appeared, okay? Because this is for impact maximization, it's just an example. Then when people sat during the proposal preparation and discussed how to increase impact, so we will have cybersecurity technologies. Then we want to disseminate this in ASEAN countries. We need much more and more companies and critical infrastructure organizations who will use this. Okay, so how do we do this with our very limited resources? Because we only have a project partner, for example, in 3 ASEAN countries, but in ASEAN we have 10 countries. So it's not really, you know, like when we started to ask question realistically, how do we reach 7 other countries which are not in the consortium, and we want to reach them because this will increase impact. Okay, and then, so the first question was, how do we go to 10 countries out of 3 available in the consortium? Because it's not possible to take everyone in the consortium. And then the second question was, so how do we, which channel do we use? And it was decided to have this ambassador program, and we dedicated some budget for this, and yeah, so basically it was very enthusiastic feedback from the evaluators about this, so we will see how it goes. I mean, but at least it demonstrates at this stage already that this impact maximization is thought at the very beginning of the process, and that could be very different examples. I'm sure that in your projects you perhaps have very specific cases, and if you wish, you can send us the information about your such cases, how you increase impact in the project, and we will publish this after the webinar on the EaP Plus website if we have this information from you. Okay, so good. Okay, now I continue for just key messages. Well, I think yeah, that's just summarizing what we said. So firstly, we need to understand what is to be maximized, okay, and in which landscape, in which context. So we need to have some strategic intelligence. Then for impact maximization, we need to identify the main targets for impact maximization. Who are the best channels, the best target groups, the most suitable one? And don't hesitate to make priorities, because many people are hesitating to put priorities. It doesn't feel good, okay, that some groups are more important than others. It is possible to make such priorities internally without disclosing this. It is possible to, you can always think in a business term, okay, if you have 1 person month for this, and you only can dedicate this time to 3 main channels. What are your main channels? What are your main tools? Okay, and then if you have more time, you can always expand this. So prepare the right offer for each target group. And remember, the message, the offer, is completely different depending with whom you are dealing. Without stakeholder involvement, it's difficult to maximize impact. And stakeholder could be end users, partners, funding agencies, journalists, whoever, okay, depending on your project. And then, of course, exploitation, IP, this is key, because this is really your road to your exploitation vehicle to improve, to make maximization of impact. Okay, so, and this is, I think, some key messages about impact exploitation. So just remember, always remember that it is an impact-oriented approach. It's one of the 3 important criteria. And in the same way as you do your project because someone needs it. Someone needs your results, right? That's why there is a call. That's why there is money provided by the public authority for this, or by private partners if you have a private project, okay? And so understand firstly, what are the needs of these people? What do they want? Okay, and I explained to you at the beginning what is the approach of Horizon and what are the indicators, because it's important to understand how people measure the impact, okay, in the funding agencies, because this is reflected also in your projects. And then, so find a good balance between research innovation and tackling global challenges and other impacts, not only economic. Remember that Horizon encourages collaboration, and this collaboration is a key for impact maximization. So your project success, it's about maximizing your impact, and that's why it is more and more important. Okay, at least in the again, it depends on the type of projects. In the future, emerging technologies on very low TLR level, we have different kinds of impact. But anyway, it is your success of the project. And of course, international collaboration partners add value to the impact. And when you discuss with your potential consortium partners for whatever project you are discussing, bilateral project, multilateral, such as Horizon, remember that if you can bring something to maximize impact, you will be really very desirable partner for the project, not only because of scientific excellence, okay, but this contribution to impact, it's very important. And we also put on the slides with Christina some main sources of information. There is a new brochure of IPL Help Desk, actually published just in April, I think a few weeks ago, boosting impact in Horizon 2020 projects. It's at the end of this file, but you have other resources, and please use this, yeah, if you wish to learn more how to maximize impact. Okay, thank you very much. And yeah, so if the topic is broad, okay, depending on each project. If you have any specific questions, please type them in the chat. And if you wish to, and we actually encourage you to send us maybe a short description of how you maximize impact in your national projects or international projects. And if you tell us you can publish this on the website, we will publish this and share with all participants in the coming days, maybe next week. Okay, the question is it possible to have the presentation by mail? Christina, I think this is possible, right? So,
yeah, well, we will publish it on the website. We will publish the link to the whole video and the presentation PDF slides as well.
The slides, I think the question is about the slides. Yeah, what we can do is to dispatch in the thank you message and in the questionnaire for you, maybe we just dispatch the link to the slides as well. Absolutely, yeah. And then you download this from the project website. Yeah, absolutely. We will.
Yeah, we will put both, the video and the slides on the EaP Plus website.
Yeah, so you will get it within the next days. But we will firstly wait maybe 3 days, even for you have a short email, about your way for impact. That will be way. Christina, I think the question is for you about webinar slides and recording.
Yeah, so previous webinar slides and recordings can be found on the EaP Plus website already as well, and they're linked to the YouTube where the videos can be found. So yeah, please check on the EaP Plus website in the news section.
Christina, if you have maybe a link, can you type this on the chat? I don't have it here because I disconnected all other things. But
yeah, just a second. I'm looking for it. I will type it in a minute.
Is there any guide to an innovation radar? I admit I don't know, because actually we get innovation radar as part of our review in the projects. Like, for example, we have now a review of the project next week. Okay, and before this, like 1 month before, we got a questionnaire of innovation radar, and it was written that each partner who is the owner of innovation shall fill it. Okay, but because I worked with this, I just thought that this is very useful to have such questions, because it's a good idea. And actually, what I will do, I will maybe make some search on the internet about the guide, and we will publish this, maybe Christina, together with the slides. Yeah, this will be my homework to find a guide. There is also a prize of the innovation radar, because actually the information is collected. It's not part of the review, interestingly. Okay, it means that it's not like the funding of financing of the project is related to this. It's really a separate process. It's just used at the same time of the review with the projects. And then the information is collected and maybe analyzed by someone, okay, specialized consultants who are contracted to do this by the European Commission, I guess. And then there are, I mean, they see what are most promising innovation, and that's why it's called radar. It screens possible work and innovation, and it pre-selects some. Yeah, it's pre-select some, and yeah, and then best, I think 20 or 10, I don't know how many are invited, and they got annual Innovation Radar prize. But I'll check if there is a guide for this. Not sure. Otherwise, the question, I put everything on the slides. You have all question of the radar in the slide. Okay, the question is, can nation achieve own research innovation impact by the political will, such as administrative pressure to university to publish articles and peer review process, peer review journals? Well, this is I mean, I have to say that it is a pressure on every universities now, not only in Ukraine, okay? It means that the question is about the criteria, okay? In the French university, well, I know we just discussed like 2 weeks ago evaluation process of research team in a French university, and they have the same criteria. How many journals of rank A and rank B and rank C you have published, okay? Do you have international, I mean, people who are working in the universities contribute to the publications of rank A because they're international, okay, from other countries? Yeah, this is all part of the evaluation process now, because now universities shall demonstrate, well, that's life, how they contribute to the society. But these are not the only criteria, because the other criteria are patents and industrial contracts and so on. So it's yeah, but definitely peer-reviewed journal is one of the criteria in, at least in those European countries that I know about, such criteria. Yes, the question is, it cannot only, in my opinion, be only this criteria. But yes, you see, it's just to give you an example from a French university that we discussed. The indicators are known in advance. It is known in advance that there is a pressure on the lab to have articles in peer-reviewed journals. Then, if you know these indicators since the beginning, 3 years ahead, what do? Then, okay, for example, this French lab invited and hired a very known professor from the US, who published lots of articles and who opened a new dimension in the lab. So this was a position opened, and the lab hired this professor. Yeah, and now there is much more articles published in peer-reviewed journal because the professor is here already for several years and he works with the team. Yeah. And another one, for example, they hired an assistant professor from an industrial world. And that's how they increase industrial contracts, because this person understands better the industry. And then, yeah, that's the criteria. I don't know what means administrative pressure, okay? So that's, I'm not sure, but yes, these are all part of the discussion. What are, yeah, but the issue is that, you know, I'm speaking from the point of view of impact, okay? These criteria, in Scopus, in, I know, Hirsch indicators and others, okay, it didn't appear like this from scratch. It's your ministry, for sure, make an analysis and analyze experience from different countries all over the world, what could be the indicators, And this is part of the indicators. And yeah, the world is not perfect. So then normally there should be other indicators as well. But yeah, it under-evaluates some fields of study, and that's why usually in the evaluation process, for example, in France, we have open questions. We have some quantitative indicators, for example, how many articles of rank A and rank B are published, but we also have open questions. Like, for example, these fields of science is not well represented via Scopus, but this is how we can demonstrate that this is an excellent field of science in our university. So we have such open questions in the evaluation. Administrative pressure, ministerial degree, that publication are needed PhD degree. Yes. We live in the same world, and it's the same trend. It's in PhD degree, normally you are expected to have a number of publications, and of course the more and better ranking journal you have, better it is. But it's not only for your degree, but also for the lab, and because it's better known, and it has better, maybe bigger impact, and more people know about this. I understand the question that this is, there is administrative pressure, but that's current life. So I'm not shocked by this, I have to say, because I see this in many countries. Okay. I wanted to make a small suggestion here to a person who wrote the question about Scopus and all others, because it is about impact actually also. It is very related. It's not about impact of the project, it's about impact of research and so on, right? Actually, when young people are going to, I don't know, exchange of interns or visiting the lab for half a year, use Erasmus in Europe, and different other ways, then they're better integrated with other researchers in other laboratories in the universities. For example, in Europe, okay? And for your question, you are from Ukraine, so Ukraine is part of the Horizon 2020, so you benefit from the same mechanism, okay? And then if you send young people through any mechanism, okay, to a Western lab where you host more Western professors in the university, then there is a bigger chance that your PhD students will publish these journals, references in Scopus or Web of Science. And this is how it's easier for a PhD, and it's better also for impact. Okay. Thank you very much. You were, I think, more than 40 people here, and Yes, I understand. Management consideration now prevail on academic freedom. It's a question that it is a lot discussed. Believe me, it is also discussed in France. I know discussion in some French laboratories. It's not a management consideration. It is about, let's say, if take an example. If a public agency increase in a research, I mean salary of researchers, and person is doing something that is really not needed. This is really not needed. Just imagine something, okay? Some very interesting things, but okay, how it has no big impact on progress and so on. But you have your academic freedom to work on this, right? But what is the impact of this? I mean, even for academic world, where you will not publish this because this will not pass through peer reviewers, journals, okay? But then you can say it's my academic freedom. Yes, but now research has to be accountable at least partly for the investment from the public funds. So there is a part of academic freedom, but it's taken it takes into consideration an impact on research and society in general. Is there any information on what is the list of the associated CAR-T of the next work program? I don't know, but I know that there is one reference list for Horizon. If you search associated members for Horizon 2020, there is a list, and in the past it was previous one were quite automatically translated. Does the list remain the same? I don't know. I saw that it was in the past automatically translated. It depends on the agreement of the countries. Just check the same, just check this, but I don't see any problems with this unless the country is not paying their contribution, because association to the framework program means paying contributions. So if your country is not paying, then it will not be associated, I guess. But yeah, check better the list. Yeah. Okay. And Christina published the link to the news with previous webinars. Thank you very much. There were interesting questions about impact, not only of projects, but in general. And yeah, these are not easy questions to discuss because we can have different opinions. Yeah. Thank you again. Thanks a lot to our colleagues from Poland, EPPT PANT, for providing all technical infrastructure, and to Christina for managing the webinar. Thank you, and see you next time at the webinar around September. If you have any specific wishes for this, please let us know, because we still have 2 topics, I think, for academia industry collaboration and so on, but we are fully open and flexible. If there is a demand for really needed topic, please let us know until, let's say, maybe July, end of July, and we will be happy to consider this. Goodbye and have a good day.
Thanks for your participation.